You don't have to break a man's body to break his will. You just have to control his world. When the cell door closes, the outside doesn't vanish. It shrinks. And so does the mind. Prisons don't just punish crimes. They rewire people. They strip away choice until obedience feels like safety. This isn't just about justice. It's about conditioning. Every detail is designed. The walls, the sounds, the silence. Even time itself becomes a tool. You wake when they say, eat when they say, move when they say. And slowly, the concept of I choose is replaced by I wait. Psychologists call it institutionalisation, a process where structure replaces autonomy and freedom starts to feel dangerous. At first, inmates resist. Then they adapt. And finally, they depend. The cage stops feeling like punishment. It starts to feel like home. In the late 18th century, philosopher Jeremy Bentham designed the Panopticon, a circular prison where every inmate could be watched at any time, but never knew when. One central guard tower, hundreds of cells facing inward. Total visibility. You don't need whips when uncertainty is enough. It was controlled through psychology, a system that forced prisoners to police themselves. Centuries later, Michel Foucault called it a laboratory of power. The Panopticon became the blueprint for every modern institution obsessed with order: schools, offices, governments, and eventually, algorithms. Because surveillance doesn't require bars anymore, only belief. If you think you're being watched, you'll behave as if you are. Incarceration isn't just confinement, it's identity collapse. You stop being a name. You become a number. You lose privacy, ownership, individuality. And over time, those losses start to feel normal. That's depersonalisation, when the mind disconnects from identity to survive its own environment. Inmates start referring to themselves in the third person. They talk about their former lives as if they belonged to someone else. The system doesn't just cage the body, it hijacks the narrative of the self. Solitary confinement doesn't need violence to destroy. Isolation itself is the weapon. No clocks, no control, just endless repetition. Psychologists call the result learned helplessness, when you stop trying to change your situation because every attempt has failed before. The brain stops seeking escape. It conserves energy through surrender. And that's when obedience becomes instinct. The genius and cruelty of the system is that once obedience is learned, it doesn't stop at the gates. It follows you. Most prisoners don't re-offend out of rebellion. They re-offend out of conditioning. The world outside feels chaotic, unpredictable. Inside, there's order, rhythm, familiarity. You're told when to wake, when to eat, when to sleep, and when that's taken away, freedom feels like chaos. That's the revolving door effect, not recidivism born of evil, but of dependency. A person institutionalized for years doesn't fear the cell. They fear uncertainty. The system doesn't have to keep them inside. It just needs to make sure they can't survive without it. But here's the question no one wants to ask. If control is the goal, why stop at prisons? Bentham's Panopticon didn't die. It evolved. The camera became the CCTV. The tower became the algorithm. And the cell became the screen. You don't need to fear punishment when your every move, click and word can be monitored, measured and fed back into obedience. The same psychological blueprint exists in offices, schools, and social media feeds. Order disguised as opportunity. We call it bureaucracy, accountability, safety. But really, it's the same cage, just with better lighting. Today's surveillance isn't about sight. It's about data. Every choice recorded, every action predicted, every rebellion softened by convenience. Digital monitoring works like Bentham's design. Constant possibility of observation, enough to make you self-regulate. You behave better, not because someone's watching, but because someone could be. That's the ultimate victory of control, when freedom still exists, but you no longer use it. You can't always escape systems, but you can stop letting them write your script. Freedom starts internally. Awareness breaks conditioning. The defense is autonomy of thought, the ability to notice the patterns of control without feeding them. Reclaim time. Reclaim reflection. Reclaim ritual. Question your routines. Ask who benefits from your obedience. And never let order replace humanity. Because the real prison isn't physical, it's psychological. Every routine you follow without reflection, every opinion you repeat without thought, that's another lock on the cell. Every civilization builds prisons, but the smartest ones don't need walls. They build routines, dependencies, and rules, and let the mind do the rest. You don't need chains to be captured. Just comfort, compliance, and the illusion of choice. This was Deceive and Believe, because manipulation never sleeps.